The panel on how to nurture a reading culture covered quite a lot of different issues, because across the world people are aware that although folk can read, they're not always reading. It's not a question of literacy, but a matter of using books. So we looked at different ways in which we can encourage people to read more and use books better. For example, we looked at the area of working with families. We think that's quite key, that parents can encourage their children, because many parents want their children to do well at school, and they maybe don't realise that the best way they can help their children do well at school is by encouraging them to read. And so that was one area that we looked at, to, for example, have workshops with parents from Christian schools or from other schools, where we talk about why it's important for them to read. And somebody commented that the good thing then is that if you explain that it's good for the children to read, sometimes the parents start to read too, because they want to be a good example. Another area we looked at was working with churches. If a pastor recommends books and shows that books are important, then that really communicates to the congregation. So we talked about ways in which we can work with pastors to encourage them to recommend books, to have book tables or little libraries of books in their churches. And that's one way in which we can encourage people to read books through the churches. And then we realised that many young people aren't reading books simply because they live in a world where there's videos and they're twittering and they're on Facebook and the web. But it can be quite cool to read, and there's some very good materials for young people. And several folk commented that there are examples in their areas of young people, like youth pastors, who will meet once a month with somebody in a coffee shop, in a Starbucks, and they will talk about choosing a book to read over the month and creating like a little book group. And they might Twitter and text during the month to say how they're getting on, and then meet up to share how they've got on with a book. And that's an excellent way of encouraging discipleship. And then in general terms, one of the great things we've seen is to for example, take opportunities in Christian media. There's in Burundi there's a wonderful Christian television program on reading, and they talk about doing books and encourage people to read, and people who have read the books can come on the television show to explain what they got out of the book. So it's a great way of encouraging people to show interest in books and read, and show what impact reading makes in their lives. Because for all of us who are interested in publishing books, it's great to publish a book, it's great to write a book, it's great to edit a book, but if people don't read the book, and if lives aren't transformed through their reading, then it's all in vain. So that's why reading is so important.